Hey there, I'm Jackie Ferris. This week on the 302, we are at the Sold Firm in Wilmington, checking out a beautiful new exhibit in a bold and empowering space. Grab your brushes. The 302 is about to unveil some colorful canvases. Hey there, we are at a place of creativity and empowerment in Wilmington known as the Sold Firm, and I'm joined now by the owner, Nataki Oliver, to talk a little bit about exactly what the Sold Firm is and I guess the vision, the mission for the empowerment of artists here. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm so glad you're here, Jackie.
So tell us a little bit about the Sold Firm. How did you get the idea and what is your mission?
So the idea from the Sold Firm was actually me wanting to be a curator years ago. So I decided, thinking about what I would do when I retire. And I said, well, because I have an art background, I went to design school, I wanted to encompass everything that I had. And when I retired, I wanted to be a curator. So it kind of moved a little bit, accelerated. I started manifesting what I actually wanted to do. And it started maybe when I was about 39. And it just popped. I started with one artist who actually wanted me to do their first exhibit. Then it turned into another artist who actually wanted me to manage them. And then I realized that the city of Wilmington really didn't have an all-inclusive studio and gallery space for artists to be who they wanted to be. And there were a lot of restrictions on the institutions that we already had here. So I decided that I was going to open a gallery here that was more inclusive to artists, whatever they wanted to do. Of course, there's parameters around it, but the idea was to have an inclusive space that would magnify and amplify the artists in Wilmington.
So you felt that there was a need? Is it just, do you focus on artists of color or women, or are you if you've got the talent, just come to the Sold Firm? What's your focus here?
So my artists are predominantly African American, but I'm not inclusive to just African American artists because art is just not bound by color. It's not bound, there are no boundaries. So there are predominantly African American artists who are here, and the ideal is because they went to institutions and they did not feel that they were going to be received, and it was happening. So I seen that there was a space that was being overlooked, and so that's how it started, but it's definitely an inclusive gallery.
Sure. Yeah. So how do you decide, and there are so many voices out there that need to be heard, how do you decide, okay, because you only have so much wall space, and I know you want to empower everybody. Do you have a waiting list? Do you have a wish list?
I do. I have both. So I do I take artists once a year. I look at artists once a year. So right now, I'm already looking at what's happening in 2023 and 2024. And I get so many artists who reach out to me and they want to display here. However, I do have parameters of what I am actually looking for. It has to be something I've never seen before. It has to be something that can inspire, a story behind it. There are artists that have come to me who need a little bit of molding. And I will work with them and see if we can get to a point where if we work together before you come into the gallery, will you be ready for what I have? I don't accept everybody because it is just, I'm very particular about what I want to show here. So there has to be a story behind it. It has to be something I've never seen before. They have to be passionate. It cannot be an artist who wants to solely come in here and just make money. Because that's not what a gallery and that's not what art is actually about. So you have to have a passion about it and understand that it's a slow burn. It's a slow burn. I have to do my job, you do your job, and then hopefully, we will get to the people who actually appreciate your art, and then we make sales.
Right. Can you talk to us a little bit about, some of the artists that you've worked with, that you've exhibited in the past, just to kind of build the anticipation for what we're going to talk about?
Yeah, so I've worked with Seven God. I've worked with James Wyatt. I have had, Velvet Poindexter. I've had an artist named Just a lot. It's just so many names. I'm
Yeah, and they're so diverse
Yes.
in the mediums and the way that
they work.
Yeah.
Sakana. He's an artist who was actually incarcerated.
Okay.
And his whole exhibit was here. He was incarcerated during the time of the exhibit, so we live streamed him on the big screen, and people were actually able to talk to him live. And
kind of like performance art almost.
Basically, yeah. So we set up times and schedules where he was able to, to show from prison. But his artwork was extraordinary, and he had like a unique story because he was actually in Philadelphia prison. Yeah. He was transferred to Delaware, and because of the leniency of the art programs they had in Philly, he was able to make a connection and have his artwork brought out and preserved. Mm-hmm. If it was the opposite way around, he probably wouldn't been able to show his artwork starting from Delaware and trying to get his artwork out to the public. Yeah. But he had like a support system, and he was different. Like, I just looked for things that are just different and unique, and it was bold. We literally, like, this exhibit is filling all the walls. For his, I tell people it could just be one piece in here. Right. He had 4 pieces. That's it. Yeah. And they were huge pieces, and they were profound and jaw-dropping. So it just depends. But I have different artists that come in here, and they definitely are just a whole gamut of them.
So you talk about bold and jaw-dropping. Skin Deep just fits the bill. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about this latest exhibit. Stay with us.
Hi, my name is Nick Sarator. I'm the exhibitions director for the Rehoboth Art League, and I love the 302. They bring arts to life.
Welcome back. We are at the Sold Firm talking with Nataki Oliver about the new exhibit, Skin Deep. Tell me a little bit about, they're all powerful women. You look into their eyes and there's a message. What is the message? I guess it depends on each individual woman. Tell me a little bit about this exhibit.
This exhibit is by an artist named Erica Jones, but she goes by the name Alize. She is from Maryland. Actually, we found out who Erica was during COVID. Okay. There was a project that you may have seen. A lot of art murals popped up around downtown Wilmington. Mm-hmm. And she did one on Orange Street, 9th and Orange, and it was huge. It was a mural to an activist who had been killed during COVID. 2020 she had been killed, and it wasn't COVID, it was actually a violent death. Yeah. So Erica did like this huge mural, and it was all these words and just graphics, and it was beautiful. So that's kind of how like the city found out about Erica. Mm-hmm. And she seen me one day and was like, Nataki, I gotta work with you. And I was like, well, let's see, let's go through the process. So she started with one piece, and I invited her to be a part of a project in the fall. And then I started seeing that she was making more. She's like, Nataki, I'm making more. And I'm like, keep going. Yeah. So as I'm watching, like, she built a collection. So in talking to Erica, she is a history buff. She loves Black history, and she loves women in film. So the idea behind this was to represent all women of different areas of film, some that we know and some that I just learned about when, she brought on this project. Right. So she wanted to highlight them, but what she wanted to do, and Erica has a thing with color, like her colors are intense, they draw you in, and it's the combinations. It's different combinations, They're not typical combinations. And so when I seen it, it almost made me feel like the women were out of space, like they were from a whole nother melanated planet because this is not their skin tones. Right. Every single one of them have a different skin tone. It's not their natural skin tone, but it's like a bold representation of who they are. And all of them are in color. Eartha is the only one that's in black and white. So she looks like she's in a black and white film. Yeah. But Erica's intense with the colors, and she also, what I love is she wraps the art all the way around the piece. So every single side, even underneath, she carries the details all the way through.
Really? So the back of the lady's head is on the back of the
thing? So not that, but if you look underneath, you'll see how their outfits wraps around the edges. With the beadwork on Vonetta McGee, her beadwork carries all the way underneath. So she makes sure that you're getting a full picture of who they are. Yes.
And I think the use of color just kind of, you can tell the certain mood that each of the ladies have.
Yes.
And, you know, they're all known for different things. They're in the spotlight. Eartha Kitt, civil rights activist,
Yes.
singer,
Yes.
actress. She was Catwoman,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So many others. Nina Simone, an incredible voice. Tell me about some of the other portraits that, you know, maybe people should know, but they don't really know as well as they should.
Okay, so what I will say, I believe only one of them are only alive.
Okay.
So all of them have passed away. I think just one is still living. And there was actually more to this. There was like Diane Carroll.
Oh, yeah.
There was a Pam Grier.
Okay.
She met Pam Grier when she came, but all of those have been sold and, you know, out to, you know, personal collectors. But I would say my favorite one is Danielle Luna. Mm-hmm. Danielle Luna, I had never heard about her. She was a model in the 70s. Mm-hmm. And she was probably like 6'3", 6'4", very like striking. She was in Vogue magazines and things like that. And she did a lot of films like overseas. And the thing about Danielle, she was from the Midwest.
Okay.
But she picked up a accent that sounded like she was from Italy. So she kind of like changed her whole persona. And when Erica showed me the films, I was like, she's gorgeous. And I just started like being really intrigued by how she just felt like she had to get out of here in order to make it, you know. And I know a lot of women did, like I know Eartha Kitt did it as well. Mm-hmm. And there has been so many that have did that throughout the years, like they can't make it in America, so let me go overseas and develop a whole new persona and a whole new image of who I was. But Danielle's like I think Danielle's probably like my favorite because I'm drawn to the colors and actually like you said, the way they're positioning. So Danielle is given like it's like an intriguing, drawing you in type, you know.
Absolutely.
And her earrings are beautiful. It's really simple, but it's beautiful.
Absolutely. And they all share one common quality, very strong women who, you know, also have a softer side that they express in their craft.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
So the artist kind of, I would imagine, you know, has she done a self-portrait? Maybe she should.
She has. She has several. She has several self-portraits. She has a different combination. She's definitely done some, yes.
Now this goes until June 25th, so that's it. By the time this airs, it's going to be gone. But if somebody sees one of these and they said to themselves, I've got to take Eartha Kitt home, or, you know, how do they get in touch with you?
So I got a good piece of information. We've actually extended it till the 2nd.
Okay.
So it'll be here till July 2nd. But if the ones that have red dots have sold, and there are a couple more that do not have red dots that I didn't put them on there, but they've been sold. But to reach out to me is www.thesoulfirm.com. It's really simple. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, email me, but I'm very accessible.
Okay, and we'll talk about that again in our third segment, but we're going to come back and talk about the community involvement aspect of the Soul Firm. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Mike Connolly. I'm the Executive Director at the Newcastle Historical Society. We'd love to welcome you to Newcastle and tell you all about the history of the 302.
Welcome back. We were just talking about the exhibit Skin Deep and how amazing and gorgeous it is, but the Soul Firm is more than just one exhibit. It really is, part of your mission is to get the community engaged. And when you come up to the Soul Firm, you know, it's black, it's white, it's red, it pops, but there's also, I guess, a bunch of tags with thoughts from community members. Talk to me about how you like to engage the community in art.
So the Soul Firm is a for-profit gallery, but I'm so connected to the community, and I know that it is a desert kind of when it comes to art here. So there has been times, I think it's getting a little bit easier, but people were kind of standoffish, don't know how to take it. What is this?
Yeah.
So, and every chance that I've had, I've given the community things that will allow them to understand that it's just not about just selling, it's about engaging. So we've had paint sessions for children. We have had what you see, the gate outside, the reflection gate, which encompasses inspirational quotes, but it also recognizes that we do have a gun violence issue here in Wilmington. It's all over the country, but a lot of people are connected. It's so small, so we have allowed family members and friends to put names on the gate to memorize, to memorialize their family and friends. And I've had family members just drop and see it, see this thing, and they find a name on there to remember and see if it's actually on there. They're knocking on the door and say, hey, can I add a name there? So it's things like that I've actually engaged the community, in. And in the summertime, we have curbside happy hours outside in the street, block parties. I do some partnering with Wilmington Alliance around at the Rock Lot. Coming up, we are partnering with the Brandywine Festival of the Arts, and we're going to have a tent there for the first time. And I've been able to partner with them to allow a couple of artists to actually vend there. And it allowed the artists to have a discounted and a reasonable rate. But the tent that I'm going to be in, it's the youth that I have the art space with for Route 9 Library. They'll be there displaying their artwork after their exhibit. Well, it's in September, but we've had this program since April, and so all the artwork that they've had, they'll be able to display it there for the first time among 17,000 people.
Wow!
So it is things like that I'm able to step out of the gallery part, the business, and still engage the community as well.
Well, you certainly do, because even whenever the crew and I came up, we saw it, and I'm sure other people, when they walk by the reflection gate, you look at some of the things and you think to yourself, oh, this is really cool, you know what I mean? And it kind of brings people in. So, and you said it's inspired by
So I had an exhibit in 2020, and the exhibit was called The Pendulum Swing. And it was people who came to the exhibit. It was a lot. It was like very interactive. I wanted it to be coming out of COVID, people were just kind of like somber, but they wanted to get out. So the exhibit was, I'm bringing you in, come in here and experience. And it was a group exhibit. So the idea was for them to not only just walk in, see the exhibit, but leave something here.
Be a part of it.
Yes. So the reflection gate was just basically, it was cardboard boxes. We just chopped up cardboard boxes, got some zip ties, some Sharpies, and said, hey, once you're done, you can leave a reflection of how you felt. And so it just grew. It was covered at one point.
Yeah, you can see that there's a lot of people that were really excited
some
about
good messages on there.
Oh yeah, definitely. And when you come in to look at some of the exhibits that you have, there's also a wall where people have signed their names. It's really very cool.
And so make sure you sign it. So I encourage anybody to come here, leave it. Actually, before I was here, it was Artist Ave Station. It used to be a co-share space, and that wall was covered with names. I had to paint over like 7-8 times to cover them up, but I did want to keep a piece of it, which is that wall.
Now, I know we talked about how to get in touch with you. You're on Instagram, you're on Facebook, you have a website. So what should we be looking out for? What's next for the Sold Firm whenever we're looking at your social?
So I am bringing something back that's been dormant for a while, which is paint session. So it's called Bottles and Brushes. I'm starting that back next Friday, and we'll do that every month. People have been asking for it, so we'll start that back. Of course, I said the Brandywine Arts Festival. There is an exhibit that's coming up soon, and it's from an artist he's from Brooklyn, New York. He's autistic, and I had him working with an artist, coaching him for a whole year to get him to where he could be comfortable coming here and having an exhibit. So that's the next one coming up in August.
And what's his name?
His name is TJ.
Excellent. Well, we're looking forward to seeing TJ. Nataki, thank you so much for spending time with us and sharing this beautiful artwork with us.
Yes, thank you, Jackie.
We'll be right back. Nataki says she calls the gallery the Sold Firm because every time a piece of art is sold, it gets a little red dot. It also goes with her color scheme. For more information on the Sold Firm, you can go to thesoldfirm.com. That'll do it for this week's episode of the 302. We're going to leave you now with close-ups of the reflection wall. Until then, I'm Jackie Ferris. Tell them you saw it on the 302.